What's going on, guys? MariK here, back with another episode of our Pokemon HeartGold Monograss Nuzlocke. So this is actually MariK from the future that's going to be narrating this episode because apparently my mic got changed to a different source in my software, and I didn't notice it until after the fact because I am an idiot. So we're going to be going over what happened in this episode because a lot happened that I just didn't want to cut out, and I didn't want to redo and lose what happened. So we ended up hatching our egg in between episodes, and we started off the episode by hatching that egg, which turned out to be a Trico. This is a shame because our encounter that we got before hatching this egg was actually a Grovyle in the Union Cave, which is why we ended up nicknaming it a damn shame. Because it was a damn shame because we weren't going to use it. Obviously, we already had a Grovyle, so why would we use the Trico, right? Needless to say, we didn't notice that this Trico was gifted, but, you know, we'll get to that at a later point in time. The Grovyle also ended up being a Jolly Nature, which is a really good nature for a Grovyle, or at least so I thought. So I ended up adding the Grovyle to our squad over the Bellossom because obviously a Sceptile is going to be much more useful than a Bellossom. At this point, we're kind of struggling because our team is so lackluster despite the fact that we have okay Pokemon. A potential for a Sceptile. We've got our starter that's about to be a Grotle soon. And then we've got the Breloom and we've got the Tangrowth. So our squad's pretty solid. I was actually trying to skip this trainer right here because I was trying to go over to the dock because I believe on the dock there was or at least I thought there was, a fisherman that had like 6 Magikarps. So I was going to do that to be able to level up Geico here, and instead this fool caught us and started with a freaking Mesprit. And if you guys remember from the last episode, or the episode before that, a Celebi gave us a hell of a time with its damn confusion. And of course, the Mesprit has confusion too. Look at that. It's absolutely absurd how bad Psychic types just wreck our shit. And we have one Pokemon that's weak to Psychic, which is Breloom. Everything else is neutral, but the thing is, Psychic types are already pretty good. Not to mention when it's a Mesprit here, which I believe is base 80s all around. 80 or 85, which is pretty fucking solid. And Psychic typing is pretty damn good as well. We don't have anything for that. Because unfortunately, all of our shit is still so low. And even here, I'm sitting here going, damn, I totally forgot to go buy potions. What am I supposed to do here? Sombrero is already about to bite the bullet, and I don't have anything I can really use. We initially swapped Sombrero in because it has Astonish, which being a Ghost-type move is super effective, and that's kind of all we're stuck with. It's also why we go into Rocky right here, because again, it has Astonish. We also have Acid, but it's not doing stab damage. And so we're kind of trying to fish for those defense drops with Acid, because the more its defense lowers, the more we can do with Astonish. So we try fishing for those for a couple times, and then eventually we realize that it's not happening. That 10% is non-existent for us. So we're going for Astonish, which it's got the flinch potential, but obviously a Mesprit's outspeeding our team, so the flinches are doing nothing. So we're kind of just looking for a good crit here. Unfortunately, Mesprit has rest, so it's going to keep healing itself. Which the worst part there is, it's like we have Stun Spore, but it's just going to rest it off. We have Sleep Powder, but unless we got its HP lowered and then put it to sleep ourselves, and then we were able to kill it before it awakened, again, that's still not really helping us. And being that we are very low on healing items, we kind of we're out of options. And we realize we fucked this up. So we know that there's a high chance someone is going down. Crit's nice. Crit's not doing shit, especially with the rest. We are still trying to fish for that defense drop with acid, and it's not happening. There's one defense drop. So now we're sitting here going, okay, well, now what do? We're gonna just keep using acid. There's another crit. Trying to get that special defense drop even further, and that way one of our other grass types that have like absorb, whatever, can come in and hopefully do some more damage. Because we do have that Tangrowth, and Tangrowth does have good stats. Tangrowth has the best stats on our team, being that, you know, next evolved state. And so, even though it only has absorb, absorb is going to do decent damage, especially when you have the special defense drops. And it's irritating because this damn Mesprit is just doing so much to us, and there's really nothing we can do to defend against it. And so between Mesprit, and then there was Celebi, and then there was the Star Raptor, and it all hurts. We actually tried to switch into Tangles here, because one, we needed something that could take a hit. Two, we were going to attempt to sleep powder it to finish it off. And then obviously it decided to rest on its own. So now our goal is to just see if we can use Absorb to take advantage of those special defense drops. And you can see it's doing some damage. That's the biggest problem here, is that grass types, while I like a lot of grass type Pokemon, they're so weak. Because the worst thing is when you think about it, it's like fire type Pokemon, for example. They start with Ember, base 40. Electric start with Thundershock, base 40. Water types is, some of them start with Bubble, which is base 20, like Absorb. Some of them start with Water Gun, which is base 40. Grass types and their base 20 Absorb, it's just so low. It's so low. I really probably should have went through for a sleep powder right here, because we know it's going to end up resting. It doesn't end up resting, in fact, which was fantastic. We almost lost Tangles. Had that been a crit, we would have lost Tangles, and I would have been highly upset. Because I wasn't that attached to having a Tangela, even though Tangela is Gen 1, and I'm like, ooh, it's Tangela, yay. It's not a great Pokemon. However, once I realized how good Tangrowth's stats were, that's when I went, okay, wow, this thing actually has the potential to be a really good Pokemon. And that's why we added it to the team. And that's why I also, when I saw its stats, it's a base 125 physical defense with a base 100 HP. So that's why we gave it that EV training item to get those defense EVs up, because it's going to be our physical tank. And even with its special defense, I don't think is that low. So it's not like we can't use it specially defensively. Though at some point we will have something that has better special defense. Obviously, once Turtwig evolves and gets up to its final evolution, that is really escaping me right now. What is Torterra? Why did I forget that? Torterra is also physically defensive. So here's a nice little Hoppip. Obviously, we're not afraid of a Hoppip. We actually have Quick Attack, so we can use Quick Attack. It'll do negligible damage, but it's a Hoppip, so it's going to do nothing to us. So get a little bit of HP. A little bit of HP. Nope, a little bit of experience for our Grovyle here. We're going to go with Pro Strats, leering it down so those Quick Attacks do more damage. Obviously, a tackle from a Hoppip may as well be a tickle at this point. it really does go to show that the fact that some grass types are, you know, people's favorite starters, like Bulbasaur being mine, for example, it really goes to show how good grass-type Pokemon can be, in spite of how weak they are in the beginning. Now, that doesn't apply to all grass types, though. Synthesis can shove it. That's a really aggravating move to have on the other side of the board. Especially when we are only doing as much damage as we are. Ooh, we almost lost Grovyle right there. Got the quick attack in. The worst part is it's 3 levels above us, but it is still a Hoppip, so it's not going to give us the most experience. Did give us over a level, though, right there, so that's really nice. To try and get Grovyle caught up with the rest of our squad. This guy wants to exchange phone numbers. I'm not about it. Normally I would be, just because. Yeah, it's Pokemon, it's whatever. But the reason I'm not being like that in this game is, well, I don't do that anytime I do a Let's Play, because I just don't want the interruptions to the gameplay. And unfortunately, because we don't have healing items, we are having to go back and forth to the Pokemon Center. Normally I wouldn't want to do something like this, but we're in a situation where we don't have much of a choice. And I wouldn't be so uppity about healing back and forth. However, because we're doing a mono-type lock, and obviously, as we've already seen, grass is horrendous to be a solo grass. The fact that Erica was a grass gym leader is astounding. Now, granted, grass poison was, you know, part of her typings, and not that it mattered back then because they didn't have poison type moves outside of poison powder, but it still gave you something, right? Kabuto, nice little 4 times weak to absorb, so even here absorb is going to do something. It's also interesting because, and I wasn't quite aware of this until, I don't think I was aware of this until after this this episode, and I realized I needed to do some stuff with my team, because, you know, of course, the fact that we end up going through so much. But it became a thing where I didn't realize that Sceptile was a special attacker. Why? Like, even in the anime, you watch Sceptile and you think, oh, damn, he's, you know, doing all this badass stuff, you know, leaf blades and shit. No. Sceptile is a grass special attacker. And it's so wild because really when you think about it, especially back then, Leaf Blade was a special move because all grass type moves were special. So in that case, it's like whatever. However, by Gen 4, which this being a Gen 4 game, it's now a physical move, which is cool. But it has a base physical attack of 85 versus its 105 special attack. I don't know what we're debating here. We're debating on whether or not we should go into Breloom versus staying in Geico. Something that the opponent is about to switch into is causing us to question whether or not to go into our Breloom, and I don't know if it's because we're worried about Breloom getting killed or we're worried about... Okay, because it's a Weavile. It's level 15 Weavile. So Ice is scary. However, it is Dark. So Dark-type moves are resisted by the Breloom being a fighting type. So that's what we were thinking going into this. We set up with the Pro Strat of Leech Seed, probably going into the Stun Spore. That way we can get as much residual damage as possible. Because as I said before, with grass types, you have to be strategic. That quick attack hurts a lot. Effect Spore paralyzes the Weavile, which means we pretty much wasted our turn with the Stun Spore. We could have got some absorb damage off. It is unfortunate. At this point, we're really playing with fire here, because if it all has this quick attack, we're fine, we can deal with this. If it has an ice type move, we could lose Breloom, which honestly, Breloom is one of our strongest Pokemon right now. And right there, we were testing to see whether or not his physical was that much higher than his special, so we went for tackle instead. There's the feint attack, which is what I was referring to when I actually recorded this video, being concerned about the dark typing and us resisting dark type. However, Weavile already has a ridiculous physical attack stat, so even with the resist, it's still doing a lot of damage. Breloom isn't that great defensively. So now we've got to decide who is the best to switch in. And so we're going for Rocky. Rocky is physically defensive. The Screech hurts. But we've got the residual damage. Maybe we'll go for some acids. We could possibly be fortunate enough to get the special defense drop. Almost there with getting the Weavile down. Feint attack is still going to hurt. So much so that it one-shots. And that would be the work of that damn Screech. So now we're down a player. A player? A Pokemon. Yeah, they're players. We end up going into Grovyle because we know at this low of HP, a quick attack, it should knock it out. And we want to make sure it doesn't get to hit anything else. Was I that attached to Lileep? Not particularly. However, it was our rock type, so it did give us some interesting resistances. The biggest issue with Lileep, unfortunately, was it wouldn't evolve until level 40. So, given the option, it would still be more beneficial to catch a Cradily instead. Here we've got the Porygon Z. We know Porygon Z has insane special attacks, so we're kind of concerned about who to switch into it. At this point, with as battered as our team is, Tangles is our option. However, joke's on us, it's level 5. This is the trainer I believe I was referring to before that I thought had 6 Magikarps. Because they have, in this case, it's only 4. So I don't know if I was wrong and that it was always 4, or that it was 6 in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and then in HeartGold, Soul Silver with the remakes, they changed it to 4. But this has to be the trainer because he has the level 15, which is when Magikarp gets Tackle, and then the others are all level 5s. So we were right, and yet somewhat wrong at the same time. Thankfully, though, it being level 5 means it's easier to deal with. It's napping, and we can just, absorb it, take it out. It does wake up, but it's not really doing a whole lot to us besides frustrating us with the conversion bullshit. Switching to Dragon type really sucks. And that's some of the other issue that we're finding with this being Grass type, is there are plenty of Grass types, but a lot of them share the same typing. So when we did Water, right, when we were doing the Sapphire Water mono run, you have Water, you have Water Psychic, you have Water Dark, you have Water Poison, Water Ground, Water Grass, Water Flying. There are so many different typings, or Psychic, or Flying. So many of those types have different typings to go with them. Whereas grass, a lot of it's grass poison. You got the rare grass fighting with Breloom, grass rock with, you know, Cradilly. But for the most part, there's not a whole lot of variety with grass types. And the only grass flying type is fucking Tropius. And I don't even know if Tropius is any good. Turtwig coming in and saving the day. I am glad, critical hit, I'm glad that our starter was a good Pokemon, a starter type. I actually do like Turtwig, so I'm not at all upset that it was a Turtwig over a Bulbasaur. The problem is, it doesn't have its ground typing yet, which gives us another set of weaknesses, but also gives us some resists and would give us another type advantage. So if we had a ground type, that would help us a lot. The other thing with grass types, too, is grass types don't have a lot of other type coverage they can learn. First of all, most grass types don't learn their secondary typing. Most poison grass types don't learn a single poison move, and we don't count poison powder. There's the crit. Geico is pulling in the work, it really is. Despite the fact that it's better specially, it still hits pretty decently hard, so we're really happy to have a Grovyle here. So we go back, trying to figure out what to do now, because our team is really looking... It's looking interesting. We've got to replace the Cradilly, not Cradilly, the Lileep, which is going into our death box. So that's 2 dead Pokemon we have now. And we're missing the fact that, there it is, we caught it. We caught that Trico has a gift. It has extra sensory. Why does Trico have extra sensory? It never learns this move. In fact, I believe it is physically impossible for a Trico, Grovyle, Sceptile to ever have extra sensory. However, it was the Togepi egg, but I don't ever recall in a randomizer the Togepi egg having extra sensory. So I actually do need to go back. I haven't gone back and done it yet to see if, in any of my other HeartGold, Soul Silver playthroughs, if the Togepi egg, because it would have been randomized, if it had extra sensory. I may not even notice. I've been like, oh, that's a garbage Pokemon, I'm never going to use it. Because I almost didn't notice it on Trico. So we know this trainer's here. We're trying to... Well, I thought we were trying to skip him, but we're trying to level stuff up, but we are also trying to... Now this guy sends out a whole-ass Dragonite. Now, here's where this gets really dicey. If this thing has Dragon Rage, it's over. We're done. We only have 2 Pokemon that can live it, and we can't do jack shit in return, so 2 Dragon Rages and we're done. At that point, a Dragon Rage and a Wrap, and we're done. However, I don't know if it gets Dragon Rage, especially at level 6. We do know it should have Wrap and probably Thunder Wave at least. So now we're trying to decide what our best course of action is, because we do know the Dragon Rage ends this run. Dragon Rage pretty much has the chance to end any Nuzlocke run early in the game. Later on, it's not that big a deal. Early on, it's a lock run ender. Leer, okay, so Leer does suck, but it is our physically tankiest Pokemon. We're going for the sleep as it goes for Wrap. So, okay, so Night, you're asleep. I don't know what strategy there really is to use here. We're going into Breloom, probably to go with the Leech Seed and then just start tackling. Being Dragon Flying, it resists Grass 4 times. So most of our Pokemon can't do anything to this. It's a Dragonite. We, so far, have had the worst luck with this run, and we have just barely gotten by. Between Celebi, between Staraptor, between Mesprit, and now a Dragonite. Like, it has Twister. That's not the worst thing, but with the Dragonite stats, Twister can be dangerous. Now, granted, level 6 versus level 14, it's obviously not doing that much. And we get it up out with our strongest physical attacker. Once Breloom learns some fighting type moves, Breloom is going to be our powerhouse for quite a while. Because we don't have anything else that's going to be a powerhouse. Lotad, not happening. Bellossom, Bellossom's got decent stats, but it would need a good move. And being a stone evolution, it's not getting one. Tangrowth isn't going to learn a good move for a while. There's a psychic type. That poses a problem for us. Back out to Tangles. Probably going to go for that sleep again. Torterra will be great once it's a Torterra. It'll probably be fine once it's a Grottle, as long as it has a ground type move. There's the confusion we were concerned about. And this is where it gets dangerous. Psychic types hurt. Psychic is such a good typing. If I were to say what the best types were in Pokemon, I would say it would honestly be between Psychic and Water. Water only has 2 weaknesses, is good against a lot of shit, has some decent resistances. Psychic only has 3 weaknesses, and Bug doesn't really count until very late gens, like Gen 7. It's good against a lot of shit, it's got some good resistances. The coverage on them, too, is just insane. You can use a Water-type move or a Psychic-type move on pretty much everything. The only things you can't hit with Water being Water, Grass, Dragon. Dragons are pretty rare as it is. Psychic types, can't hit Psychic. Steel. Dark is immune to it. Everything else, just Body. We're going for growths, try and get that special attack up. And here's where we're using that Soda Pop. I hate having to waste it here, but I didn't want to cut into our time to go back and get potions. I probably should have, so I didn't have to waste a Soda Pop. That would have been good to have later on. Sleep Powder connects, and now Girafarig is Night-Night. At this point, we just have to hope that we've got enough special attack increases to go for growth, or from growth to go for absorb. And we not only have enough, but we get a crit as well. So, Tangle's putting in the work. And then a Politoed. So we know we're good here. No point to even switch out and just one-shot it. I love Politoed. That green is so vibrant. Missed the Hypnosis, thankfully. And there goes Politoed. And at this point, we're exhausted. Just drained mentally. So look at that defense. Nice 46 defense. It's getting up there. It's getting really good. And by this point, we're ready to call it because it's rough. Our team is more or less leveled up. So we're talking about planning to go through Union Cave in the next episode to get to Azalea Town and, you know, continue playing the game. It's already looking kind of kind of dark because our options are so limited, especially with grass types. So we're just kind of lamenting on what the future of this Nuzlocke holds for us and what we've gotten ourselves into. But here, we're going to remember to save our game, because if we were to lose that data, like we did, it would be a shame. We are going to go ahead and get out of here now, and we will see you guys in the next episode.